Hey everybody, welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Ryan Selvy. I'm gonna be your host today as we do some animated flying bats because it is October and we are fully in it now. It's totally acceptable to do Halloween things now, and we're gonna have you add a bunch of flying bats over to your wonderful creations. You should be able to get the starter files in the description if you're looking for those, and I have it set up with a few different compositions. But if you guys have questions along the way, please let me know or throw it in the comments. It's great to have you here. Once again, my name is Ryan Selvy. So, as you can see here, we just have After Effects pulled up, and in Bat, just Bat, not even Bat number one, just Bat, we have the capabilities of just a body and a left wing. I made these in Illustrator, but guess what, guys? You can also make them straight up in After Effects if you want to. You can just go to the pen tool. You know, you can like click and then maybe like I think what I did here, honestly, is I think I just clicked up here and then I just made a little curve thing. I held down Alt, you know, you can zoom in, and I then clicked here. And then what I think I did is I actually just like in Illustrator, I flipped it, but in this case, if you wanted to go all the way around, you could go all the way around, maybe make it a little bit less, once again, holding down Alt, will give you these anchor points. You might need to, obviously, twirl them around a bit, like maybe even bringing this one down here like that, but you can create it in here just as easily as you can create it in Illustrator. But what are we going to do today? Today, we're going to make this guy fly. We're going to make him have more than one wing. We're going to make it nice and lovely. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to click on left wing, and we've set the anchor point to be in the center of the composition. I have made the composition big enough in this example to accommodate having his wings up and his wings down, or her, or they, and we moved the anchor point over. If yours, for whatever reason, when you make it, is maybe in the center, all you have to do is press Y, and then you can click, and you can bring it in. Now, what you would think to do first probably would be to go into your rotation, and then you would just animate these. But quickly, you see that when you do that, we get this weird spot down here, okay? And when we are animating it, it kind of pops out. You can see the side of it. You would say, okay, well then just like, why don't you extend it? But you'll quickly realize that when you do that as well, you start to get a weird kind of selection over here on the right. It also affects the connection, so it's not as nice. And then same thing, when you rotate it, like it's still gonna create some weird stuff if you go high up enough. So rather than dealing with all of that, what we're going to do is we're going to take the one wing and we are going to add a mirror by going to our effects presets. Now, you could take that and you could apply it to left wing, but then it's going to flip the whole thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to Layer, New, Adjustment Layer. Alternatively, you can always do Control-Alt-Y, and you'll see that that places an invisible layer on top of everything. From there, you can add things to the adjustment layer, and then when you take the adjustment layer and you add effects to it, it's going to adjust everything below it. That's why it's called, you guessed it, an adjustment layer. So we're going to take our mirror effect that's under the distort. If you don't just search for it, like you said, it's under distort. It has a bunch of different things you can do, but mirror is right here, and you click and you drag it onto the adjustment layer. From there, we have two very simple, easy modifications that we can have. You can move where the reflection is. So you can see that it's represented by this crosshair that we have here. And as we move the coordinates in the effects panel, you can see that it's moving and reflecting along the reflection angle. The reflection angle is going to, by default, be 0, 0. In our case, this is what we want, but let's say that you wanted to maybe do something that was like up and down. If you change that to just 90 degrees, you see that it's reflected, and then you can see that it's going to be doing up and down at the same time. And you can play with this in many different ways. It's not going to work for us in this capacity because we want to make the wings on both sides. So I'm going to go ahead and click the reset button. But what we are going to want to do is we're going to want to bring this reflection center into the center of our composition. I'm fine with just clicking and dragging it and bringing it over to what I visually perceive as center. But if you want to be really specific, what you can always do is you can go to your composition settings, and under composition settings, you can see that this is 472. And if you were to divide 472 by 2, it would get you to 236, which then would be where we are. So it's really up to you however you want to kind of have it created. But now you can see as we rotate, it's going to move both up and down accordingly. Now, we're still running into that issue that I was talking about a little bit with the points. I think that it does look fine with the points because the points of a bat's wings are going to have, you know, a kind of pointiness to them. But there is something that we can do to make it feel a little bit more organic and cohesive and together as a bat. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to undo those changes that I have with the rotation so that it's at 0, 0. We still have our adjustment layer with our mirror. I personally like to create another adjustment layer for this change that we're about to make because I like to have it separate. I'm going to go and rename my adjustment layer to mirror. And this new one, I am going to name, what do we just call it? Like, it could be like choke mat, but I feel like we should just call it like blobby. Now, what we want to do here is we want to create some organic transition between the wings and the body, like I kind of have overstated at this point. So what you first have to do is you're going to go to Fast Box Blur, which is under the Blur and Sharpen section of the Effects panel. As you saw just there, you can always search for things and pop it up. I'm going to click on Fast Box Blur, and I'm going to drag it over to Blobby. And from there, you can see that we have an ability to kind of create a like a blur to it. It's going to make everything look real blobby together, but do not worry about it. Do not stress, because what this is actually going to be doing is it's just kind of creating a broader spectrum so that then when we go to this next section, and we're going to put choke mat here, a mat choker, and we go and we click it over to Blobby, it's going to start to kind of bring things down. Alternatively, instead of mat choker, you can also just do simple choker, I believe. Yes. And I'm just going to adjust this ever so slightly. And you can adjust the final output or however you see fit. But now you'll see with this, I'm just going to make it do like 2 iterations or something like that. I want to make sure repeat edge pixels is on. But now you'll see that as we move things, it's going to create this kind of curvature. Whereas, like, I can turn this on and off for you. Also, what if we put this down here? No, we want to put Fast Block Blur on top. Now, if we go and we get rid of this and bring it back, you can see that there's not a curve. It's instead this, like, nasty looking, like, hard line. However, when we do it like that, it's giving the illusion that we're going to have this kind of continuation of the wing, and it's not just a shape that is going beyond the means of its confines. So, we're going to, as always, reset this back to 0. And I want to actually bring it down to the lowest point that we have. And maybe like do like here, perhaps. You know, see a little bit of his shoulders. And we're going to add a rotation here. We're going to play a little bit, and we're going to go up to the top. Same sort of spot. And we're going to go forward a little bit more, and we're going to bring it back. Now, at this point, you're going to think of, like, how a bat would realistically fly, okay? So, like, you know, it wouldn't just be, like, up, down, up, down, up, down. It's, like, more of, like, you have to push and push and push and push and push, which is a different layer of acceleration that you would have than just back and forth. So, obviously, these back and forths aren't going to work just as well. So for the sake of example, I'm going to put the second keyframe on 2 seconds, or the third keyframe on 2 seconds, and the second keyframe on 1 second. I'm going to then trim down my work area for us to then only be showing the first 2 seconds, and as we play, it's going to kind of go back and forth, and that doesn't look how we want it to look. So thinking of the speed at which we want things to move, it's like you want the down to go a lot faster than the up, right? Because the up, you are going against air, and you're going to want to make it a little bit slower. So already, I'm going to highlight all three of these and hold down Alt. I'm going to make it faster because I want the bats to be faster. But then in the center area, I'm going to bring that over to the left. And so, oh, oops, other way around. Right. Yeah. So slow down. And then I'm going to go ahead and bring in, we'll actually make this like a second. Maybe we'll do like a wing flap a second. So now I'm personally not liking how far this is coming out. So we can either go and adjust our blur to make the blur a little bit more, or what you can do, or, you know, with your choke. But what you could also just do is you can go and just bring down this rotation just ever so slightly, because that still looks strong. But guys, you know what? I think that maybe even 1 second might even still be too slow. So let's drag this down even more. And we'll bring down this work selection even more. And I'm thinking that's looking a lot better. We can then right click, of course, and always go to easy ease. That'll create a little bit of smoothness, but maybe not the exact smoothness that we want. So then I'm going to venture over into this scary graph editor. And I'm going to click on rotation. It's going to give us this little blob. Now, this is in the speed graph, not the value graph. So this is just showing how quickly things are moving. We want this to be slower and this to happen faster. So we just want to zoom in, and we're saying, okay, we're going to drag this guy, and all that's saying is that we want the movement to happen faster than at the beginning than at later. So do you understand that? Kind of like, this is how quickly it's going to be moving, and then if you visualize the graph of like, this is when things are moving, this is moving faster than this. So as we play now, it's going to kind of give this snapping vibe that we kind of want. Now, we could always go and we could add the motion blur, which is already there. I think it might be already on in your project if you're using the starter file. But if it's not on by any means, you're going to want to go and you want to click those three little circles here. If it's not visible for you, you can just go down into this area and click the expand or collapse the layer switches pane, and that will show or hide the option to add a motion blur. By the way, if you guys have any questions while we're going on this, let me know. Hello to Umacorn, who gave me a shout out as a hello in the chat. Also, hello to everybody over on YouTube. You get 2 thumbs up from me if you guys hop over on YouTube and at least say hello. Now we kind of have this, but let's say that like maybe the blur isn't good enough for us. What you would want to do is you want to go to your composition, and you under advanced, you can adjust the shutter angle. If you want to increase the shutter angle, maybe to like 252 or something, you'll see that the blur is also changing. So now we have this flying bat. I could probably honestly even make it faster if I wanted to. I love it to be a nice frantic flying bat. I feel like that's getting to a good spot. Yeah, that feels like a flying bat, right? So I'm gonna go and press composition, trim comp to work area, and then just as a point, we're going to extend these so that it doesn't clip off when we do a time remap in a second. But we're going to go into main, and now we have this bat that is hanging out here. But it disappears right away because it's such a short thing. Now, you could either extend it and add a loop out to the first area, or you can enable time remapping. You can alt-click, and then you just say loop out. And then it should move forward just with this idea of a bat. But you're saying, but Ryan, the bat is not moving, and we need the bat to move. So you could come in here, and you could create like some position. You can click, and you move forward, and you click, and you move forward. But then you're like, oh, but then it's like not moving in the right spot. So like maybe I'll do a rotation, but then like as it gets here, it's not rotating in the right spots, and you like have to move it. No. We're not gonna do that. There is a much easier way to get all of this done. So what we're gonna do is we're going to add a path here, and we're gonna click. This is on its own layer. We're gonna create like a little loop-de-loop. Maybe another loop-de-loop down here. And then it goes off screen, okay? And you're like, okay, but now there is that line there, and I don't want the line there, and I want the bat to go across the line, you know? Ray is saying, of course bats have a thumb and 4 fingers, but it's an impression of a bat. Well, thank you, you know? Oliver gets 2 thumbs up. Yeah, thanks, Oliver. Appreciate you. Thank you for saying hi over on YouTube. It helps the algorithm suggest us to other people if you say hello on YouTube rather than Behance. Okay, so we're going to go back to our shape layer that we just made with little squiggle. Go to Contents. Go to the shape one that we just created. Go to Path 1, and then we have Path. We're going to click on Path and press Control-C. Alternatively, you can right-click and not right-click. I lied. You're just going to click on Path and press Control-C. You're going to go over to Bat, and you're going to twirl it down a little bit more. You're going to go to Position and Control-V. Now, it's going to then create a series of keyframes. You can go ahead and disappear or delete even that first shape layer. And as you play along, you'll see that it is continuing to go around. You can also extend and shorten this if you want to by clicking all of it, holding Alt, and dragging it up and down, and it's going to keep everything together. You can also move the relationships of the keyframes in particular, and they will move the other ones for you. But the big thing that I wanted to showcase here is that you are able to right-click and go to Transform, and then transform, and you're going to say Auto Orient, and this will pop up, and it will say Auto Orientation is off. You're going to say Orient along the path. So I'm going to click that. It's going to then move the bat, but as you see here, it's not in the right direction. So what we want to do is we want to take the opportunity to then press R and switch that to this direction. And that way now, when it goes around, it's going to be along the path. Now, the cool thing here is you can still adjust this path to your delight. If you go and you select the path and you move it, it will then adjust everything else for you, which is nice. And like I said, if you want him to maybe take a slower spin around, then you can always do that as well. And then as before with this composition, let's say that the wings are maybe clipping in a weird way. Always remember you can always lower this down. You can make this to be a different type of blur. Alternatively, if you wanted to, you could also always go into another adjustment layer and do a radial blur of sorts. Now this is going to be really nasty looking, but click and drag that radial blur, bring the amount up, make it real crazy. You can do all sorts of stuff because you centered zoom, maybe, you know, make it feel a little bit more Batman-esque, a little bit spookier. Into the rotate fading. Now we just want to do scratch here. Bring that up and down, adjust the quality. Like I said, it's going to look nasty, but it, when in motion, might work better for you than what you want. Hey, Keys, what's going on? And then we only have like 5 more minutes left here. Nice, quick little cute stream. But the other way that I wanted to show you that there's another way you can also animate these flying bats is I made a different type of bat with its wings. I'm going to go to the wings layer that here. This is under bat 2 in your project files. And if you've never used the puppet tool before, you can press Control P, and that will let you start clicking and adding points of movement to different layers. So in this case, I'm going to go and click on the wing here. I'm going to click in the middle here, and I'm going to click on the other wing here. Now, if you click on wings and you press U, it's going to bring down the mesh deform puppet pins for all the ones that you just made. But in case, for whatever, maybe your keyboard isn't working or something, let's say you have to twirl down yourself, that is still accessible just through your twirl downs. Oh, wow. Also, we've got Umekio. It says, well, hello then. We also have Gita and Clever, Oliver. Thank you guys for saying hello over on the YouTube chat. I appreciate you. And we have only a few minutes left. You can scroll down, and it's actually going to be under Effects, Puppet, Mesh 1, and then Deform. And then under each one of these, you will have the keyframes for each. Also, like how Oliver says, got to keep the algorithm happy with little Frankenstein, which is nice. And now, if we press U here, we have our 3 puppet pins. We're going to make sure that they all have keyframes, and then we're going to move a little bit forward. We're going to drag him up, and then maybe over here we're going to drag him down. You'll notice that we're not touching that middle keyframe because we don't need to. It just needs to be there to tell everything else not to move. What you can even do is under here, you could always like give it like a hard stop. There's also options to go and do a puppet start spin tool. Click that guy. And then it gives you a little bit more control. Now, same as before, we can do a loop out situation with these guys. Same thing. To which it will then begin looping the keyframes that we created. Oops. Guess this accidentally has some keyframes in it, which we do not want. To be like that. And then if you bring that back to main, what you could even do is you could take bat2 and hold down alt and then drag it on top of bat. And it's going to replace it entirely. And it's going to then create its own little animation. Or go back. Same sort of thing here, where you can also adjust the keyframes, where if you wanted to maybe make some smoother or move them in and out, you can. It's just a means of making things to your preference. I think that like in this case, we're making the up go faster than the down, which is what we talked about we did not want. So, but this is also feeling a little bit weird. So maybe if we go like in like this, then it's like, yeah, that's feeling better, right? Whee! Squeak, 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 squeak. Also, for anything in here that you have, so like let's say that we do like a new null. And we assign both of these nulls as parents. I link these parents to this null by clicking a little cute little pick whip. If we move this up and down, it's going to be reflected in the other one as well. Oops, but it's going to get a little goofy because we have the puppet pin here. So, same sort of thing. You can loop out and do a ping pong here. And then that way, when it's going around as well, it has a little bit more motion to it, which is nice. Same sort of thing here, too. I know we talked about messing with the blur within blur within the first comp, but in the second comp, you can also do it. And if you want to bring this down or up, you can accordingly. So like, let's say that we wanted this to have a little bit longer of a trail. We go to composition settings, advanced. And I believe you want to have a longer trail. What is it? Either upper or lower here. Samples per frame. Bring that down. Let's see. It looks very different. And you just want to play with that and experiment and go on and go forth. All right, guys. But yeah, we flew through that. And it was great to have you guys here along for the ride for a little bat time. I'll be back again next week. Thank you for being here for the weekly challenge. We'll do some more spooky stuff next week. And I'm excited to have you here. Once again, my name is Ryan Selvy, RyanSelvy. You can find me online at ryanselvy.com. That's on Blue Sky and on Instagram. Thank you to everybody who said hello in the chat, especially those of you who said hello in the YouTube chat. You can see the viewers went up to 49. See, you gave me just a little bit of love and it popped right up. So we'll see you guys in a little bit. Stay tuned for a little bit more of another weekly challenge right after me. All right, see you guys soon. And I'll be on File New tomorrow at 3 o'clock Eastern. I think 3 o'clock Eastern. Yeah, 12 o'clock Pacific. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.